I mean, like, legitimate question, am I literally going to die of fright? Like, seriously. Sun and Mood Reads. Hello everyone, my name is Sun. Welcome. Alright, for November, my TBR list, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I am going to I'm already trying to back out. I am going to read books that scare me. I know it was Spooktober last month, but I really wasn't ready to do anything like this last month, so November it is. So why am I doing this? Is it for attention? Is it boredom? Yes, to both those reasons and others. I just want to challenge myself. I am nearly 40 years old, and to say that I avoid certain brilliant authors because they scare me is, in my opinion, a little bit piss weak. Like, I need to think in relative terms. I need to get a little bit of perspective. I mean, hell, I have gone through labor. I have literally popped out 2 humans from, down under. That is arguably the scariest thing a human being can do or watch and hear, according to my husband. So surely a wee little fictitious story shouldn't scare me, right? Right? And I'm thinking November is my last chance to do something like this for a while, because once December hits, it is going to be summer here in Australia, which means summer reads, which means I am not even going to go a centimetre out of my comfort zone when it comes to my reading. November is the month for me to grow up, grow a pair, feel the fear, and read it anyway. So without further ado, let's get into my scary list. Okay, so the books that I've chosen this month are scary for me for a variety of reasons. A couple of them are scary for me because of the actual content. They are scary, spooky, horror books. And honest to God, I have never read that genre ever. A couple of others are scary because of just the sheer density, the size of the book. They are door stoppers. They are classics and quite epic, and I do have a bit of a preconceived expectation about these books, so I find them a little bit daunting. And a couple of others I am just scared to read because I just really, really want to love them, but there is a chance that I may not love them, so I am scared to know the outcome. Okay, so let's get straight into the 2 books that are scary, spooky, horror books. As you may have sensed already, I don't do scary. I don't do spooky. I'm not too bad with like monsters, zombies, vampires, and blood and guts. But if it has anything to do with the paranormal, evil spirit, haunted house, the occult, anything like that, I am just like, nah, I'm out of here. Ghosts, oh my God, no. Like, I swear to God, even bloody moaning Myrtle in the Dunnies in Harry Potter even scares me a bit. So this is the reason why I've never gotten into Stephen King books. Now, I have watched It and Carrie when I was a kid. I actually watched It numerous times due to, social pressure from my girlfriends. And that, honestly, is probably what started this phobia of spooky, scary stuff. But I do feel like I'm missing out because I know that Stephen King is a genius storyteller. Therefore, I am biting the bullet, going all the way in, starting with Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Oh my God. I mean, look at the cover. There's a freaking zombie kitten. Like, legitimate question, am I literally going to die of fright? Like, seriously. I chose Pet Sematary because it's the one that I'm least familiar with. I'm kind of familiar with It, Carrie, Christine, Firestarter, what's the other one? The Shining. So I am familiar with those, but I don't know much about Pet Sematary. And what I do know is that it is up there when it comes to scariness. And so I'm thinking if I am going to try a Stephen King book, and this may honestly be the last time that I do, I may as well choose one that's full throttle scary. My husband actually read this when he was a teenager, so that actually gives me a little bit of comfort because he is a wuss, just like me. But he did also mention a little bit of a trigger warning for me. He didn't go into detail or anything, so it's not a spoiler to me or to you, but he said there's something to do with a child in this story, so I'm like, freaking great. That's another trope that I avoid as well. So I'm like, horror, animals, a child, I am genuinely scared. But I have a strategy. I have a reading plan. I am only going to read this book during the day. Once dusk hits, once 5 p.m. hits, I am shoving the book in the bottom of my drawers. Actually, I'm just going to know it's there, aren't I? I'm going to shove it in the garage overnight, and I'm not going to look at it until morning. So obviously this book might take a while to read, but I just need to take baby steps with this one. Also, a question to you guys out there. Do you think it will be more or less scary if there is alcohol involved when reading this book? Depending on that answer, that may or may not be a strategy as well. Oh, actually, that would mean that I'm drinking during the day, so maybe not. Look, I predict I am going to be scared shitless reading this, but at the same time, I am pretty excited that I'm reading Stephen King for the first time. The next book I am very, very scared about because like I said, I don't do haunted stuff, haunted houses. But like King, this is an author that I've always wanted to read, but just have not had the guts to. It is the classic horror, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. Oh, God. Okay, so this one's going to be a daytime only read as well. I don't know much about it, but reading the title, there's obviously a haunted house in it. It's Shirley Jackson, who I know basically paved the way for the horror genre authors that we see now. So I'm pretty sure I know what I've got in store, and I am frightened. Having said that though, I did read the first few pages of Haunting of Hill House, and I must say I really, really like Shirley's writing. So hopefully that's going to pull me through. Okay, so those two I am pretty sure will take me the whole month to read because I'm only going to read them during the day, and I am going to take breaks. I'm going to change it up by reading something lighter just to neutralize the fact that I'll be, freaking out. The next two books are scary reads for me because of the sheer size of them. They are door stoppers, very, very dense, and they are classics that daunt me. The first book, I will finally be delving into Charles Dickens. I honestly don't know why I've never read a Charles Dickens book before, because I am a huge fan of classic literature, especially in the Victorian era. Like, my favorite novel of all time is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. So I'm not sure why I haven't read a Dickens yet. I think what's happened is I have slotted Dickens in with the other big, epic, ashen authors like Tolstoy and Dostoevsky. I've done this based on not much at all. So I basically just need to stop being a dweeb and read a Dickens already, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy it. The book I chose is David Copperfield because it is humongous. It's like 1,000 pages. It scares me. I'm going to read it on my Kindle because I don't want to be like holding this thick mofo of a book. Like, that's just going to be so daunting. I chose David Copperfield because it's the Dickens story that I know the least about. I have seen BBC adaptations of other Dickens novels. This one I don't know much about. All I know is that it is close to Dickens' own life. So that does interest me. I actually did start listening to the audiobook of David Copperfield, and yeah, I'm actually really into it. I'm into it. And this audiobook is narrated by Richard Armitage. Hey, like 60 hours of Richard Armitage talking to me. That's definitely going to settle my fears. So I think David Copperfield is going to be my evening read. It's going to be my break and my neutralizing book from my scary reads during the day. The next big classic epic book is one that I feel like I really should have read by now. But when the intention to read a particular book has become chronically overdue, like for years and years, so much that it just feels absolutely terrifying to take that first step. That's what's happened with this one. And it's quite sad because the film adaptations to this series are like my favorite films of all time. Like I've done the film tour in New Zealand and stuff. So that's probably given it away. It is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. To be honest, if I accumulate the on and off times that I've attempted to read the book, I have probably read the first book. Last year, I also listened to a very random but pretty cool audiobook recording that's on a podcast. I'll share the link below in the descriptions. And this audiobook has the sound effects, has the actual film soundtrack, and the audiobook narrator is really good at imitating like Ian McKellen's Gandalf and Sean Astin's Samwise, etc. So I've listened to most of that. It is brilliant, and I am definitely a member of the Audiobooks Are Reading, Audiobooks Are Books team. But I feel like I'm going to gain so much more by sitting down and actually reading the physical book from the start. This will also be an evening read that will counteract my paralyzed fear from my daytime horror readings. Okay, so the last two books are scary reads for me because I just want to love them so much, but there is a chance that I may not, so I'm scared about that. The first book is Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. This is a historical novel that was written in 2017. It's set between 1910 and 1989 in Korea and then predominantly in Japan. The story follows a Korean family that immigrates, that moves to Japan. And I imagine it's going to explore a lot of the experiences and events during the Japanese colonization of Korea at that time. Now, I obviously, well, not obviously, I don't know why I said that, but I have a cultural and emotional attachment to that part of history. My late Homoni, my grandmother, grew up during Japan's occupation of Korea in World War II. And because of that, obviously, she was actually more fluent in speaking Japanese than Korean because they were forced to speak Japanese at schools. My Homoni actually lived with us here in Australia, and during that time, she taught me how to read and write in Korean. And to this day, I remember everything she taught me. Without her, I wouldn't have been bilingual. So my Homoni and her life, her history, her experiences is close to my heart. So obviously I am going to have an attachment and a connection to this story. And I am really excited to know that this book is being written. And I think either way, I will appreciate this book. But at the same time, I'm really scared about reading this one. Because I want to love it. I want to hold it dear to my heart and to say thank you for portraying this part of history in such a beautiful and honest way. It means a lot to me, etc. But I did start reading this a number of months ago. I read the first few chapters and so far I'm not a fan of the writing. For me, the writing style contradicts exactly what I'm after in this book, which is emotional connection, emotional attachment. The writing style is very detached. It's like the narrator has taken a Valium and is telling a fable from a distance. You know, just describing the plot, events without any kind of emotionally engaged commentary. It sounds so harsh, but I'm not getting any soul from this writing. So this is why I'm scared to read it. But I will read it and I will appreciate it on many other levels, I'm sure. This leads to something I just want to express very briefly. So this feeling, this turmoil that I'm feeling right now, this is what happens when I come across a book that depicts cultural experiences that are close to me, because these books are not frequent in the literary world. So when one comes along that is telling a story that hasn't been told much before, and it's a story that's close to your heart, your culture and history, you know, I put an extreme amount of pressure on it. But I believe the solution to that problem is there should be many more diverse books out there that are published so we can comfortably look at the vast array of stories and feel okay to say, oh, this one was shit. I like this one, didn't like this one because of these reasons. But currently, although it's getting better, there isn't a lot of these diverse books, so it's only left to a few to meet my standard. Do you know what I mean? So I don't like doing that, but I kind of can't help it. I don't really have a choice. Until we see a lot more diverse stories in the commercial literary world, I'm probably going to keep doing that. Anyway, I'm going off tangent. So basically trying to say this is why I'm scared to read that book. Hopefully my experience and opinion changes as I read it further. Okay, so the last book that scares me because I really want to love it, to be honest, if there is one book that I'm going to forego and DNF this month, it's probably going to be this one. It is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Okay. So I've started this one so many times and I've stopped. Why do I keep going back, I hear you ask? Because I want to be part of the elitist population that keeps claiming that this book is brilliant for reasons unknown to me. I just want to say I read Donna Tartt's The Secret History and I loved it, darling. I loved it. I don't think that's going to happen though, and that's why I'm scared to read this. Now, there are two reasons why I think I am not going to enjoy this. Reason one, I am not into dark academia. Academia? So I don't even know how to say it. That whole vibe, it just rubs me up the wrong way. It just really feels contrived. Like the other day, I Googled dark academia just so I could just open my mind and just try to understand the vibe and to try to grasp something that I liked about it, and it only just confirmed my aversion to it. Like when I Googled it, this list came up of things to do or be or wear in order to be dark academia. Number one was, and I will read it to you right now, remain an enigma, shroud yourself in mystery. Seriously, if you are intentionally trying to be an enigma and shroud yourself in mystery, I'm sorry, but that just rings contrived and a bit douchey to me. But look, it's not based on any experience or knowledge. It's just an intrinsic aversion to it. It is the similar fear and aversion that I have to clowns and carnies and man buns. It's just not for me. But it is based on ignorance, so I want to give dark academia genre books a go. That's why I keep persisting with Secret History. Now, the second reason as to why I think I may not enjoy this book is, well, I have actually read the first few chapters in the past, and I am already getting the vibe that I do not like these characters. I am going through a reading phase at the moment where not only do I need to read character-driven stories, I do actually need to like them and I need to be invested in them. And I think that's just got something to do with this year, 2020, COVID, isolation, all that. Basically, I don't want to surround myself with assholes, fictional or real. And I am getting major asshole vibes from these characters. I really feel like it's going to be one of those books where the one character that is nice and has a little bit of integrity probably dies. I don't know. Don't say anything in the comments, please. But like I said, these are all speculations that can only be answered by giving this book a go. Who knows, I may come out of this read totally converted. Next time you see me, I might be wearing myself a smart turtleneck with a bit of dark plum lipstick slapped on and have evolved into an intentional enigma shrouded in mystery with a copy of Hamlet in the pocket of my Burberry coat. Who knows? Anything could happen. Okay, on that note, I better finish before I get trolled by angry uni students. So they are the books in November that I will feel the fear and read anyway. Pet Sematary by Stephen King, The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson, Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, David Copperfield by Charles Dickens, Pachinko by Min Jin Lee, and The Secret History by Donna Tartt. So let me know your thoughts on any of these books, on anything really. I'm feeling rather brave this month, so any thoughts, comments, criticisms, I will embrace it all. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Sun, this is Sun and Mood Reads, and I will see you next time. Bye! Sun and Mood Reads.